All right. Hey, guys, we are back here once again for the next episode of A Conversation with Kely. And if you guys did not see, we finally did come back a couple days ago. We did a cast assessment. It was a very rushed one because we wanted to get a chance to watch the episode, but because, your fucking, neck of the woods had to be a bitch. You had a power outage and you weren't able to watch the episode until now. So
we didn't have like Wi-Fi for a while, so I had to use a hotspot and it was a whole mess. And then, it wasn't fun.
Yeah, I mean, the other big change, since, we started this podcast is we're both working now. We're both very busy. We're working a lot. You've had crazy shifts. I've had crazy shifts. It's just been a very busy weekend for both of us.
You have your new job. I have the casino reopening.
Yeah. So we just have not really had the time to talk about this until now. I know since then another episode has aired, but fuck it. We're going to pretend that didn't happen. We're going to pretend, let's go to an alternate universe, Allie, all right? An alternate universe where the episode that aired tonight did not air. There were no live feeds. There was just this episode. This is this episode. That's all that exists. We don't talk about live feeds on here. We will later, just not in this episode. But we're going to talk about the premiere. Anyway, I know that was very long-winded, but we're going to talk about the premiere. Before we do get started, though, what were your expectations coming into this season overall?
I mean, I came in with low expectations just because, past seasons were not that great besides, a couple, like VVOTT and all that, or 17. But, I mean, so far the cast is really good besides a few people. I hope it's a good season. So I'm just excited to see what happens.
Yeah, I went in very cautiously optimistic, I would say. I think that every season, I would say I pretty much go into that way because I don't want to go into a Big Brother season prepared to hate it. I don't like going into things prepared to hate it. And especially Big Brother, a show that I really do love. I really do love the concept of the show. And I do think when it's good, it's fucking great. It's very riveting television. The problem is these last two seasons have just been so utterly bad, especially last year. A season so bad I didn't even watch. And that's when it was a really bad season for me. So going into this, I was just really hoping we could have a fresh start. We could start to see, something promising. And for me, at least, I'm not going to lie, I enjoyed this premiere. I actually thought this was a pretty solid start to the season. And I actually do think it's better than what they did last year for a number of reasons. I think there's a lot of things that I enjoyed about this premiere. No, it wasn't as, I would say, satisfying as maybe some of the other premieres have been, but they could only work with what they had at that point. They chose to do a live move-in, which, I mean, I think should be the norm from now on. I like the idea of us getting to see them move in for the first time, us getting to see the feeds day one. It just adds a whole new layer to the show that we didn't see before because, there's 7 days that go by usually by the time the feeds go live. So it was cool to actually get to see that. And yeah, I enjoyed this quite a bit. I think the first thing to talk about right off the bat is that, I mean, they are really trying to make this feel like old school Big Brother with the way they started things off. I can't remember the last time I heard the narrator be like, "It's a house unlike no other. 16 strangers will compete." I'm like, oh my God, I'm watching Big Brother 12. I'm watching Big Brother 13. This is great. I felt like I was back in middle school when I was watching my first few seasons. It really just I felt like, okay, we're finally back to the Big Brother that I used to love.
I love that so much. I just want it to be old Big Brother, and we don't even need a bunch of twists, just regular just gameplay.
No, and like there are some twists that are added to this, but we'll get into that in a little bit because Big Brother loves their twists. But anyways, the way that this episode is formatted is not that different from last year's, aside from a couple things. We start off and there's 4 house guests, but the thing you'll notice immediately is that they are not masked. They've all been vaccinated, so they're not masked anymore. I was surprised there's not an audience. I thought at least they would get like the producers or something, because they could probably do that now because, most things are reopening and things like that. I would have thought they would have had like some kind of audience, but there wasn't.
Yeah, like everything is slowly getting back to normal, but what? Yes and no.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I just thought they would because, things like late night talk shows, and I know like SNL, they've had audiences. So I thought maybe they would start to do that, but it still feels a little bit weird. But I will say, Julie did not feel as out of place this time. You could tell last season she was really out of her fucking element. She had no idea what to do without an audience. And I feel like now she's kind of acclimated to that. So that's really good to see. But anyway, we get this first 4 house guests that move in, and they're not my favorite bunch. I will say that.
No,
we have 2 people I do like. Derek F., who I absolutely love, one of my favorites, and Xavier, who I'm really starting to like a lot. I think that he is definitely a lot of fun. But then we also have everyone's favorites, Travis and Frenchie. They are the first 4 to come into the house. They quickly introduce each other. They look at their pictures on the memory wall, and I thought they would actually get a chance to socialize, but nope, they have to play this comp. But here's what I enjoyed about this comp. They're actually starting to listen to us about one thing that has really been pissing me off lately about modern Big Brother. This comp, believe it or not, was mostly mental. This was a mental comp. This was not a physical challenge. And it sounds silly, but honestly, getting to see the first challenge of the season be a mental comp and not be this grueling physical thing that is catered to one specific body type that is basically favored for someone, for a certain person to win. It's just really refreshing to watch because it really did feel like anyone could win this. And what's funny is, last season around this time, I remember we were talking about just how fucked that first challenge was because it was very much, it wasn't a gender neutral challenge. It was significantly harder for the women. They made it harder for the women. It was really weird that they made it harder for the women. This time around, it was a gender neutral challenge. And I think it was a lot better that way because it really did show how literally anyone could have won this.
Yeah.
I don't know if I love the fact that they did 4 guys, 4 girls. I don't really see what the point of that was, but that's a whole other discussion. The one thing that is unfortunate though is that the one person I did not want to win this. So we had 4 people. I'm like, all right, as long as Travis or Frenchie do not win this, I will be fine.
Right.
Who ends up winning? Fucking Frenchie. Frenchie ends up winning this first comp.
Of all things, he has to win the first comp.
I know, but here's something I did like about this that I don't think we saw last season is that there were people deliberately trying to throw this comp. And this is where I was a little confused. Wasn't this supposed to be live? Why did we get DRs? What? That really threw me off.
I mean, they basically did it BB Can style.
Yeah, no, that's what I thought too, which honestly I'm down with because I think what's good about that is that you're not going to have those really awkward moments on the live show because they've already edited the episode, so you're not going to get
literally BBUS is recycling BB Can.
Honestly, as they should, especially after the season we just had. But the way, like I said, the way the comp was done, I really did enjoy it a lot. They have to put together this poster of a have-not pool, and Frenchie ends up winning the first time around. But then we get the next group, which Allie's going to tell you about.
The next group is Azah, Britini, Alyssa, and Whitney. Once again, this is a great one. Once again, I mean, I don't hate Whitney, but she's definitely my least favorite girl.
Yeah.
But once again, they play the same comp, and Whitney ends up winning. Similar to Derek, Azah decides to throw this comp in the hope to target whoever wins this.
Yeah, this again, I like seeing these people like throwing the comp and like actually, because I think it's something that not a lot of people put stock into. I do think that throwing the comp is a good strategy in the first week because it takes the heat off of you. It shows that, you know, if you know you're good at comps, you know, you don't want to put yourself out there too much. You want to focus entirely on your social game. So I think this was a really good call from both Azah and Derek to throwing the comp.
Usually
and already being like, what were we going to say?
Yeah, usually first rounds, you just want to like make connections and then win comps like the next round or so.
Yeah, and Azah already being like, yeah, whoever wins the HOH, fuck them. I'm getting them out. I'm like, yes, I love this.
I love her.
I love how much she's already thinking ahead, but I don't think she's doing like too much. She's a big studier of the game, and she knows what she needs to do to succeed. And I think that's it's really great to see. But once again, the person I wanted to win the least is the person that ended up winning. So that's great.
I know, right?
Let's go to the next group. The next group, we have Derek X. We have Brent, Christian, and Kyland. Once again, I was like, all right, as long as it isn't Christian or Brent. And what ended up happening? What do you think happened here? Yeah, exactly. Christian ended up winning. And I was like, what the fuck is going on? Like, why are the worst people winning?
I know. Why? Like, did they really hate us?
Yeah, I mean, look, I'd be more upset if, let's say, Derek or Azah was like close to winning, but they were legitimately throwing the comp. So like that makes me a little less upset, is like they probably have a lot more comp prowess in them than we've seen, and that's good. But like, I didn't want to see these people win. Let's talk about the last group though.
The last group consists of 4 people I love: Tiffany, Sarah, Beth, Hannah, and Claire. Unlike most,
all amazing.
And yeah, Claire is probably like my top favorite right now, but I do love a lot of people. Like her, Azah, and Hannah are definitely my top 3.
Oh yeah. And also, I don't think we mentioned this on our cast assessment. Hannah is the youngest player to ever play Big Brother. She was born in 2000, which is crazy. The first player in Big Brother. I'm older than, which is weird. That's not normal.
You're so little.
Yeah.
Unlike most of the players, Tiffany wants to gun hard for this comp. Ultimately, Claire ends up taking the win, which is the best winner so far.
It was, but I'm not going to lie. I was really pulling for Tiffany here because she wanted to win the comp so badly. And I was really hoping she would pull out the win. Also, like, I don't want just honestly, I don't want just white bread winners, you know, like that's kind of boring.
I think after Claire, Hannah, and Awesome, Tiffany's my next favorite.
Oh yeah, I really am liking what we're getting from Tiffany so far. But I was happy to see Claire win because I do like Claire a lot, especially just from this episode alone. I think there's a lot of potential for Claire overall. So I was happy to see that she's already showing that she can play these comps very well. So we have our 4 winners. You know, we have Frenchie, we have Whitney, we have Christian, and we have Claire. But there's a little bit more going on here, and this was something I didn't know if I was going to like it, especially the way it started off. I did not know if I was going to like it because we knew going into this season that everyone was going to be playing in teams. That's something that we knew. They announced it before the season started. That's not new. The way they decided to do it was very questionable. Basically, the teams have to be equally balanced with 2 girls and 2 guys on each team, which, okay, I guess that makes sense. I don't have a problem with that necessarily. What I do have a problem with is this snake draft where they spin this wheel and they have 2 house guests, but it feels less like Big Brother and more like some bad like 2000s MTV like dating show that was canceled. Like that's what I felt like I was watching here. Like
that makes me think of that too.
I understand that they're choosing between 2 house guests and that's all that they have to go off of. But like, what is the point of hearing Hannah say like, oh, well, I've traveled here and I'm done this, and then you cut to Xavier and he's like, oh, I'm single now and things like that. Like, what? This is not a dating show. Like, this is not.
I mean, I feel like yeah, I get that, but I also maybe they were just trying to like get a feel of their personalities.
I guess, but I felt like I was watching Love Island for a second. I thought something happened with my Paramount Plus, and
what is this? What is this, Bachelor in Paradise?
No, exactly. Like, it was super fucking awkward the way that they did it. And I don't really like that. It was like between two of the same guys, between two of the same girls. It was just, I didn't like the way they were grouping everyone together. That was a little weird to me. I think that it should have been a lot, especially since this was supposed to be random. It didn't feel random. Like, it really did not feel random in terms of the wheel. It felt like it was like kind of like predetermined, you know? I don't know. Maybe I'm looking too deep into it, but I saw people discussing it on Twitter, and it was just really weird to me the way they did that. Mm-hmm. But I do like overall what ended up happening here, because the other big thing that I actually did like is that unlike previous seasons, they already have these names chosen for them. So we have the Jokers, we have the Aces, the Kings, and the Queens. And the first team, Allie is going to tell you about.
Frenchie selects Azah, Derek F, and Brittany, and for the Jokers.
That's a pretty good team overall.
It's a really solid team. I like that one. It's like, love Azah, I love Derek, and Brittany I love too. She's actually like, she didn't start out as like one of my top favorites, but I do really like her. And
I really like what she said about like her being neurodiverse as well. I didn't know about her going into the season, but I like the fact that she spoke so openly about that. You know, I think that's really
I really like her a lot.
Yeah, and maybe we'll get some like interesting like conversations from her about that throughout the season, which, you know, I liked seeing that last year, where we got to saw those more like deeper conversations that, you know, were about things that were bigger than the game. I hope we get stuff like that this season, because I really enjoyed them getting to do that. As shitty as last season was, I think that was definitely one of the highlights for me. But Whitney selects her team. We have Brent, we have Derek X, and Hannah. Pretty good team aside from Brent and Whitney, but they make up the Aces.
Yeah, I mean, Brent and Whitney don't seem terrible, but like Brent obviously seems kind of like an ass.
So arrogant. That's the thing.
Yeah, and then.
But I also could see Brent being someone who's like. I also could see him being someone that's like so fucking arrogant. You're kind of entertained by just how arrogant he is.
True. And then Whitney, I don't hate her. She's just not my favorite out of the girls.
Yeah. Not a big fan. Not a big fan.
Yeah. And then Christian selects Alyssa, Xavier, and Sarah Beth for the Kings, which is a solid team.
And then we have the best team of them all, which is the Queens, which is Claire, Kyland, Tiffany, and then Travis is literally not even picked. Like, he literally has to go. He was Glenned. He was Glenned.
Yeah, it was Sarah and Travis weren't picked.
I was surprised that Sarah was like one of the last. I thought like she would. Yeah.
I think Sarah's. I feel like Sarah's gonna be like a, like really like under the radar.
Yeah, I could see that. I'm not.
I like
so far.
I mean, I kind of like her. She's very sweet.
Yeah. I'm not huge on, like, she's not one of my favorites, but I definitely think she's someone that, like, I can really grow to like throughout the season. And so I think her not being picked last, last
I can see Sarah
kind of for her.
Yeah, I can see Sarah Beth being kind of like a dark horse.
Yeah, I could see that for sure. But yeah, these teams overall, I don't mind them. I think that they're pretty well balanced overall, and I definitely did enjoy the teams. But let's talk about the next thing that went down in this episode that you're going to be discussing.
It's time for the first HOH comp, and for this comp, the first team captain that is able to successfully build a triangular puzzle onto a platform while the other teammates must balance the platform.
Another skill comp. I love it. I love it.
At predetermined time, the cards could descend and topple the cards. The first captain to successfully hit their buzzer wins HOH, but also wins safety for their entire team for the week. However, the last place team will become have-nots. Ultimately, the Jokers ended up taking the win and securing safety and naming Frenchie for the first HOH. And in last place and have-nots are the Kings.
I really liked this comp. Once again, I like that it was a lot more just like skill. It was very much like you had to concentrate and things like that. I want to see more comps like this throughout the season. I'm not saying we shouldn't have physical comps, because we absolutely should, but like, let's have more of this. I like what we get to see here. I think it gives everyone a really fair shot. And I mean, I think about like last season with the veto that Day won. The reason why she won that veto is because it was like the only comp last season that wasn't like something really physical. It was mental. It was definitely something you had to like concentrate. I want to see more comps like that, because it really gives us a chance to see what everyone's strengths and weaknesses are. And if it's just physical all the time, you don't really get to show that, you know? So I think that they're already doing a much better job when it comes to the comps here. As far as Frenchie winning the first HOH, it's not ideal at all, but at the same time, I liked his team. So like, I was kind of happy because I love Derek. I love Azah. I want those two to be safe. I like what I've seen of Brittany so far. So it's more one of those.
He has a really strong team. He has a really strong team, I think.
Yeah, so it's more one of those things where like I cared less about who won HOH and more just who was on his team. That's what mattered more to me overall. But basically, we then see something that I thought was really interesting, actually, where Julie reveals to the house guests that for the first time in the history of Big Brother, the grand prize has actually been increased. It's no longer $500,000, it's $750,000, which I think this was a long time coming. I think they should have done this.
I love it.
I've seen a lot of people say in previous seasons that like the price is not enough. It should be a lot more, especially with them, extending the days and things like that. And I absolutely agree. I think, definitely if they're going for, longer seasons and things like that, they should earn more money. And I think it's going to incentivize people to play harder, and that's something that I really do like overall. So I really like this change. I don't think it's gonna play a huge role or anything, but I do think it's gonna give people a bit more of it's going to give people a little bit more willpower to be like, all right, yes, I'm here to play. We know it's at the end. We know that money's there. I think it was good that she did make this announcement when she did. But the next thing that she did is something that I don't really like because it's kind of stupid. But.
All right. Well, she then makes Frenchie a double or nothing offer. If he decides to take it, he could potentially win 2 weeks of safety for him and his whole team. All he would have to do is land the 2 oversized dice onto the table in 45 seconds. However, if he fails...
Go ahead.
However, if he fails, he would no longer be HOH, and him and his entire team could be nominated this week, and instead Claire would win HOH as the second place captain.
So in theory, I don't hate this idea. I like the idea of a double or nothing offer. What I really fucking hate is the idea that you can get 2 weeks of safety. And here's why it bothers me. Julie literally says in the episode, this has never been done in the history of Big Brother. And I'm like, yeah, there's a reason for that. Because here's what would have happened if he takes these 2 weeks of safety. And look, maybe this is just me thinking about what's happened the last few seasons, but this is what I see happening. I see Paul from Big Brother 19. That's what I see when I think of multiple weeks of safety. I think of them, getting that, what the fuck was it called? Pension of power or something, where like they can't be, and they have to like, they're safe for all these weeks and they're able to create some like dominant alliance. And this is what I think Frenchie would have done. He would have teamed up with Claire's team. The two of them would have been running things the entire season. They would have dominated the house. It would have gone to a point where we're sick of that team as well because they're just constantly in power, and it would have been so boring to watch. So, like, why are they introducing things that consistently would stifle gameplay? It just really pisses me off. Like, I want fluid gameplay. I don't want this bullshit where, like, and again, like, if they're going to give them double or nothing offers, I don't have a problem with that. I have a problem with this specific offer. Like, if this is what we're going to get, I'm not here for it. You can do something like, oh, you individually will have safety, but no one else will know you have safety until like if she would have done it that way, that would have been a lot better, where like they legitimately didn't know that he had safety until he was nominated. That would have been a lot more interesting to me. But doing it so upfront like that, I just really didn't like the idea of it. And then what ends up happening is even more awkward.
Yeah, he ultimately declines the offer, but for some reason, Julie makes him do the comp anyway, which he ends up successfully completing, meaning he could have been safe for 2 weeks.
This was so fucking awkward to watch because
it was.
I understand that they had this comp prepared. They probably had this comp prepared. They wanted to get it done, but just the idea of him not, saying no and then her still having him do it, and then him trying for some reason. Like, he absolutely should have thrown this. Like, it was for kicks. There was no reason to like try hard in this comp. Like, I don't know what he needed to prove. She literally said to him, I don't know if you like, I watched it back and she literally says, keep in mind, you already have won 2 comps. And I feel like that was her trying to clue him in. Like, you don't really need this. Like, you're already doing too much. And without spoiling a lot, Frenchie has done a lot. But this I think was like a big misstep for him because especially early on, you don't want to prove you're like this big comp beast. And like, I understand there's only been 3 comps, but every single comp Frenchie has won. Every single one of the comps that they've played so far, he has shown that he can do it with multiple skill sets and things like that. And
exactly,
he almost didn't get the dice, but if he had taken that offer, like, he would have gotten those 2 weeks of safety. So like, 1, he probably should have taken it if he was actually going to try in that comp. 2, like, you really just like put yourself out there. Like, he really should not have done that. I don't think that was a smart idea at all. It just was a really weird turn of events. And I don't understand why. Like, I heard people say, oh, they need to fill airtime. Fucking talk to Frenchie about what he's going to do as HOH. Fucking talk to the house guests about how they feel. Like, don't have him do this comp if there's 0 stakes in it and then actually like try to do well in the comp. It's just, it frustrated me so much. It was such a weird way to end the episode overall.
Yeah, it was very interesting. That's for sure.
Yeah, I really, really hated this a lot. I didn't understand the point of it. Aside from that, though, like I said, I thought this was a pretty good premiere. I liked what we ended up getting. They did hint that there's going to be a new twist, which is called the wild card comp. I hope it's not like what we've been getting in past seasons where it's like, oh, everyone gets this anonymous power, and if you win this comp, you'll get a power, and this power is probably going to be completely fucking useless because you're not going to use it. Because it happens every fucking season. I'm
just excited to find out what it is. Hopefully it's something good.
Yeah, I hope it's good. I hope it is because, like, I think last season, again, as shitty as last season was, I actually really liked the safety suite. Like, I thought that was a good concept. Yeah. It doesn't hinder the game too much. It just gives a person safety, and then they can choose who else they want to get safety. And also, like, you don't actually have to do it. You, like, volunteer to do it. I think that's a lot better. So I hope it's something like that. Like, that's what I want to see, because I know Big Brother wants to have comps every episode. I don't understand it. It's just something that they like doing. And I think if they're going to do this wild card, I hope that's what it is. Keep in mind, we have not watched this week's episode yet. It didn't exist. It didn't happen. You didn't watch it either. You will have not watched it until we do the podcast. That's when you will have watched the episode. even though that doesn't make any sense. But either way, like I said, I enjoyed this premiere a lot. I'm excited to see where things really do go. And I hope this is a really good season. You know, we do have a cast that is a little bit more diverse. It's not fully diverse in the way that I really would have overall wanted it to be. But I feel like coming off the heels of like Big Brother Canada 9, especially, it's like anything in comparison was not going to be as good because of the fact that that cast was just so well diverse. You know, you had so many different ethnicities, you had so many different backgrounds, you know, things like that. And it's not like you don't have that here, but there still are a lot of white people. There still are, you know, and that's not great. There's less, but there's still quite a few, and there's some that aren't sticking out to me quite as much. But I don't like absolutely hate anyone yet. I don't absolutely hate anyone. We'll get more into, you know, stuff in the next few episodes, but I'm just glad this is back. I'm glad Big Brother is back. And honestly, like, this feels more like Big Brother than the start to last season. Last season, it was like we didn't really have a lot to talk about because we just kind of saw a comp happen and then everyone came together. Like, that's all we saw. Here, we actually got to see some interaction. We actually got to see, you know, some other stuff go on when it came to these house guests. And that's something I did like. No, we didn't get to see like them all go around the room and introduce themselves, which I always love seeing because, you know, it kind of shows like where the connections are going to be early on. But I like the idea of this team's twist. I think that if it doesn't interfere with the game too much, I think it can actually work. I like that. Unlike Big Brother 18, there wasn't a night one eviction. That was really good to see. I fucking hate those. I always feel bad for the people that go out. So I'm glad that nobody got Glenned or David. Well, I guess David doesn't count anymore because of Big Brother 22. But nobody got Glenned. Nobody got Jodied. There was not a, you know, night one eviction. So I'm happy that that's happening.
But yeah, I thought it was a really good premiere too. It's definitely... There's definitely high expectations for the season. Hopefully it doesn't go downhill. I'm just really excited to see what happens in the following weeks.
Ideally, we want to be able to watch this back and not be like, oh my God, remember when we had faith in this season? Haha, that was funny. We want to be able to talk about the season like 3 weeks from now and still really enjoy it. That's where I want to be. That's really where I want to be at this point. And we'll see what ends up happening. But other than that, guys, that's really it for our review on the season premiere. There's not a ton else to talk about. Like I said, I thought it was pretty solid. I thought it was a pretty good start to this season overall. We will see you guys back sometime this weekend. We'll have a guest of sorts. We didn't have a guest this time because whenever we do premieres, I don't like having guests. I like it just being two of us, and then we can get guests for, you know, when actual stuff is happening. So we will see you guys whenever that goes down. That's it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and we will see you guys in the next video. It's very late for us, so we're probably going to go to bed, maybe watch some stuff here and there. And whenever this is up, I hope you guys enjoyed. If you're able to watch it, we'll see you guys for that. Okay, bye.
Bye. Good night.